Chapter 17 About Eric. Daniel decided to approach Rowan first. Although Rowan was close to Eric, as close as any of them, he still consistently was the most logical mind in their little group. It would be important to have them there when he told Molly. Molly was all action and reaction, strong, but also emotional. Daniel still couldn't quite grasp the fact that he was planning a strategy to defeat one of his best friends, to defeat Eric, their leader, and the strongest of them all. Daniel still hoped to reason with him, to somehow talk him out of all this madness, but he knew that they needed to be prepared if they failed. The shroud was one of their own. As much as it sickened Daniel to admit it, Plunkett's version of the events made sense. The rules kept the younger supers in line, kept them afraid. Eric could use the same lies on the kids near his age, like Michael, until he could get them out of the picture, until he could steal their powers too. Now there were only a few left, and the only real threats to him, power-wise, were Molly and Clay. Soon he wouldn't even have to hide. Soon there would be no one strong enough to stop him. They needed to act fast. If Eric learned that he'd been discovered, he probably wouldn't have any problem attacking first. He would come for Molly and Rowan any time, even tonight. They needed to be ready. When Daniel found Rowan, his friend was lying in the grass in his backyard with his ear pressed against the earth. His glasses were off, and his face was pinched tight with concentration. He was so absorbed in whatever he was doing that he didn't notice or didn't care that his dog Shaggy was sitting next to him, contentedly chewing his way through Rowan's untied shoelaces. And he's the logical one. Daniel approached Rowan and waited. Shaggy trotted up to Daniel and wagged his tail. A piece of Rowan's shoelace dangled from his mouth. Daniel scratched the mangy dog behind the ears and called, "Rowan! Hey, Rowan!" Rowan did nothing. Daniel sighed and lifted his foot, and then brought it down to the ground, hard, and watched as Rowan jerked upright with a start. "Ah, earthquake!" he shouted. "Oh, it's you." Rowan pulled his glasses out of his pocket and blinked up at Daniel. "I was listening to a new ant colony being built under Mom's rose bushes. You surprised me." "Yeah, well, we need to talk. It's about Eric." "Eric?" asked Rowan, standing. He absent-mindedly dusted himself off. Rowan had a habit of dusting off all the wrong parts of his body. He usually patted down all the clean patches and left the dirty ones the way they were. "If you're worried about Eric," said Rowan, "don't be. It's all taken care of." "What? What do you mean?" "I mean that Molly and I talked it over last night, and we decided that you were right. You've been fighting too many of our battles for us, Daniel. It's not fair. So Molly's taking care of Eric herself." "Taking care of Eric? Just how much did they already know?" "Wait a minute, Rowan. What are you talking about? What do you mean that Molly's taking care of him? Have you been talking to Plunkett?" "Plunkett? Of course not. I only meant that we decided to tell Eric about the shroud, and all that we've learned. He'll probably be mad at us for breaking the rules, but his birthday is coming up, and we felt like he should know the truth. We owe him the truth." Daniel let go of his breath, which he hadn't even been aware he'd been holding. Then he sat down on Rowan's porch. "Daniel, what's wrong? You don't look so good." "It's Eric, Rowan. I think we've all made a terrible mistake. We need to go see Molly before she talks to him. I have something to tell you both, and it will be easier if I only have to say it once." "Before she talks to Eric? She's with him right now. She was going to see him this morning and tell him everything. I offered to come along, of course, but she wanted to do it alone." "Alone? Molly was alone with Eric? Who knew what he might do once confronted with all she knew? Eric's birthday was only a few weeks away, and the way Daniel saw it, Eric would then have two choices. Either he could pretend to lose his powers and his memory, thereby protecting his secret for a little longer, or he could decide that he was so powerful that he didn't have to hide anymore. If he chose the second option, he would want Molly out of the way. All he would need was an opportunity to be alone with her. Rowan, we need to get over there to Eric's now. And Molly's in danger." "Danger? From what? The shroud? She's with Eric. She couldn't be safer." "No, she's in danger from Eric." "Who's in danger from me?" asked a voice from the sky above. Daniel looked up to see Eric floating above them, Molly by his side. Daniel had to shield his eyes as Eric drifted down, the sun shining like a halo behind him. It could have been one of those wondrous scenes, an image that Daniel would have remembered forever. But after what Daniel had learned, it was horrible. His friend was something grotesque. Rowan spoke up before Daniel could answer. Eric, isn't it kind of risky to be flying around in broad daylight like that? And in my backyard, no less? Oh, come on, Rowan. I flew so fast that no one would have seen me. I wouldn't have been more than a blur. I'm getting faster and faster every day. Yeah, thought Daniel sourly, and I know why. Sometimes, Eric said as he picked up Shaggy in a bear hug, you just have to live your day like it's your last. Am I right, Daniel? Daniel looked at Eric, searching his face for some sign that he suspected something, a wink or a sneer. But all he found was that smile, that contagious smile. Yeah, Eric, absolutely. So come on, he said. Who's in danger from little old me? He met Daniel's look with an even stare. Molly, Daniel answered. She's in danger of losing her title as the fastest flyer. It's like you said, you're getting faster and faster every day. Molly snorted. In your dreams, maybe. Well, thanks for the vote of confidence, Daniel, but I don't think I'll ever be that fast. The jealousy's just killing me. Well, that's what I meant anyway, said Daniel. Rowan gave Daniel a look. It was obvious that Rowan suspected that he was lying, but he didn't call Daniel on it. He seemed content, for now at least, to give his friend the benefit of the doubt. Eric glanced around. You guys want to go out to the fort today? Rowan looked anxiously at Daniel, who said, Actually, I need to hang near the house. I promised my mom I'd help her sort through Graham's stuff. Oh, said Eric. Sure, buddy. Of course. Rowan? Molly? Chores, said Rowan. Okay, said Eric. How about you, Molly? Care to do some flying? Molly looked at Daniel. Hard. Daniel returned her stare and prayed that his eyes told her all that she needed to know. Maybe later, she said at last. I might meet you there. Eric shook his head, visibly disappointed. All right, you know where to find me if you change your mind. Bye, all. And like that, he was gone. True to his word, he was so fast that they could barely see it flash as he sped off into the sky and into the shadow of Mount Noble. As soon as he was gone, Molly turned on Daniel, poking him in the chest. Do you guys mind telling me what's going on? You look like you've swallowed your tongue, Rowan. Daniel has something he needs to tell us, Moll. Something so important it's worth lying to Eric for. At least it better be. Daniel sighed. He had a bad taste in his mouth already. Molly, what did you tell Eric? Did you tell him about the shroud? Well, no. I was going to, but I chickened out, okay? I was hoping we could tell him together. That was my first plan, Moll, said Rowan. But you said you should be the one. Well, I changed my mind, okay? Knock it off, both of you, said Daniel. They didn't have time for this, and Daniel couldn't put the truth off any longer. I have something that I have to show you. When you see it, you'll understand why I lied to Eric. It wasn't easy, but I had to do it. Daniel showed them Plunkett's photograph of Eric as the shroud. As it turned out, lying had been the easy part. The truth was much, much harder.